first Tory leadership hustings are taking place in Leeds this evening. Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak will set out their plans, which they hope will help them to become the next Prime Minister.
Well, the Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries, who is backing Liz Truss to be the next Conservative leader, joins us now from Birmingham. Good morning to you, Ms Dorries. Lovely to have you with us on the eve of the Commonwealth Games. It's a big event for our country, of course, and for your government, not least the time you've managed to turn the games around, because you usually get a lot more time, don't you? But to set it up and get it going, has been quite a feat.
It has. It's not the eve, it is the day of. Today is the opening of the Commonwealth Games, and it's a fantastic buzz in the city. But you're absolutely right. You know, we've picked up the baton from Durban. It normally takes 7 years to get something like this off the ground. We did it in 4.5 years and on budget. And today there are thousands of athletes, volunteers, here in the city of Birmingham, and it's put Birmingham on the map, on the West Midlands on the map. Over £600 million of government investment, leaving a legacy behind for what is a great city.
We know that £600 million is hugely important to the Games, of course, but there will be lots of people this morning who'll be saying we've got a horrific cost of living crisis. Should the money be going on something like this?
Well, look, this has been... To address the point of the cost of living crisis, the government is putting money into addressing that problem. Many people will have experienced the £400 arriving in their bank accounts last week. And for those who are vulnerable people, particularly the poor and vulnerable, they got £1,200. So the government is addressing the problem of the cost of living crisis. But something like this didn't happen since Putin invaded Ukraine. This project's been going on for 4.5 years. The money has been invested in Birmingham as a city. You know, I've visited twice the Sandwell Aquatic Centre, which is a newly built, purpose-built aquatic centre for the Games. That will be left here, left in Sandwell, left for Birmingham, where hopefully we'll have future swimming stars of the future. So there is a legacy that's left behind. And, you know, the Commonwealth is about more than the Games also. It's 30% of the world population. It's about the trade agreements and the bloc that the Commonwealth can form as a kind of axis against Russia and China and other parts of the world. So the Commonwealth is really important in so many ways. And the Games, if you like, in its own way, epitomises that, because it brings all those nations together, and it's brought them together in Birmingham,
Lovely.
In the West Midlands, and put Birmingham on the map.
It's a wonderful thing to celebrate, and we talk about the cost of the Commonwealth Games. Can I ask you how much you paid for your earrings? The ones that you're wearing now.
So these were a Christmas present from my granddaughter at Christmas, she was born in August, so she's 11 months old now. So this was her first Christmas present to her nana. So I've no idea how much they cost.
But you made a big play of it, didn't you? During the last Tory leadership debate, it was discussed roundly. You criticised Rishi Sunak for wearing expensive clothes and so on, and you sort of put Liz Truss, your woman, on the spot, didn't you, by saying she was wearing clothes, accessories, earrings. But you yourself have spoken about never skimping on jewellery and spending £6,000 on earrings. So it's all backfired, hasn't it, a little bit on you?
Not at all. In fact, those earrings are bought for me by my late husband for our 25th wedding anniversary. So, no, not at all, actually. What it did do is, I think, highlight the fact that, you know, Rishi was wearing those shoes in Redcar, which is one of the most socially deprived areas in the country, where we as a government have shunted funding out, the Levelling Up programme, out into the regions. But it was kind of sending a message of, you need to, you know, be able to make the right judgment calls, to be able to empathise with people, to demonstrate that you've walked in their shoes and that you understand their lives. I lived the first 25 years of my life on a council estate, so I make no apologies for having got to where I've got and for wearing the earrings that I wear, because I've lived and walked in those shoes. But it may surprise you to know that I'm not standing for leadership. And in terms of Liz Truss, I heard your question. You know, 48 hours after I made those remarks, the poll showed that people felt that Liz Truss could relate more to their lives and that she was someone that they could relate to more than Rishi Sunak.
So when it's
personally,
reported,
I think it was a job well done.
Yes, just clear up the report. Senior figures within Miss Truss's team have now spoken to Miss Dorries, asking her to tone down her public remarks. A source said Nadine has been spoken to by someone she would listen to. Have you been spoken to?
I can tell you 100% that comment by whichever newspaper it is printed it is totally fabricated.
Let's talk about the leadership contest, shall we, between the two. You seem to still
Shall we talk about the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, which is why I'm here, and the amazing buzz that's in this city?
Well, I don't know if you've
shall we focus on the Lionesses and the positives about what's happening over the next 5 days in the UK?
Nadine Dorries, we've been on air.
Nadine Dorries,
we've been on air since 6 o'clock this morning. We've been talking about Birmingham every hour. We are celebrating it, and we are celebrating the Lionesses as well, unquestionably.
Good.
But of course, we only get you for about 15 minutes. And so I hope you appreciate, we want to talk about the Commonwealth Games. We are thrilled that they're going to be in Birmingham. They're going to be a great success. But we do also need to ask you about some of the other pressing issues that the political landscape is facing as well. You do appreciate it.
Are you still holding a grudge against Rishi Sunak over him turning on Boris Johnson? And if so, because Jacob Rees-Mogg seems to have sort of got over it quite quickly, is that really sensible, given that actually this is about bigger things than your loyalty to Boris Johnson at this stage?
I'm not actually sure what you're talking about. Do I think that what happened to Boris Johnson was wrong? I do. I know that Jacob feels that too. He was the Conservative leader who got us the biggest Conservative majority in 40 years. Do I think that he delivered both on his manifesto and some of the big calls and getting the big calls right? Yes, I do. Particularly on his relentless pursuit to make sure this country was the first in the world to get vaccinations into people's arms. Am I disappointed that he's gone? Yes, I am. But, you know, we have to move forward.
But Liz Truss...
We're going to put in place on September the 5th a new leader of the Conservative Party and a new Prime Minister. And I think Liz Truss is the right person to do that job.
She only gave him 7 out of 10. Would you disagree? What would you give Boris Johnson?
So, I don't... So, for a leader who got us the biggest majority in 40 years, an 80-seat majority, I'd give him 10 out of 10.
Which is what Rishi Sunak said.
But I think that's probably the only thing that Liz Truss and I would disagree on.
And you'd agree with Rishi, because he said exactly the same thing.
Sorry, Rishi said what?
He gave it 10 out of 10 for exactly those reasons, so you agree with Rishi on that?
Yeah, that must be the only thing Rishi and I would agree on at the moment, yeah.
Nadine Dorries, we've run out of time.
Thank you for joining us this morning, though. We will be celebrating the Commonwealth Games across the next 11 days, and undoubtedly the Lionesses, when they get to the final on Sunday too, you'll be pleased to know.